The American Egyptian Women of Influence podcast aims to be the American Egyptian culture podcast of choice. We believe that our knowledge and our participants' stories will greatly enhance understanding of both cultures. I'm Karen Leggett Aburaya. Today my guest is Nermien Riad, founder and executive director of Coptic Orphans, which has mobilized 500 volunteers to serve and mentor Muslim and Christian children in Egypt. Nermien, you founded Coptic Orphans 31 years ago. What are the achievements in which you take the greatest pride?
Karen, it's a pleasure being on your show. I think one of the greatest prides that I have is how these fatherless children who really, when their father died, have been devastated in their lives. The mom may not know where the next meal is coming from, etc. And yet, with the help of the volunteer reps that we have on the ground in Egypt, their mentoring and the support, etc., we have these kids who started out, whom some may not have known how to even read, even though they're in school, have progressed so well that we have thousands who have become engineers and doctors and pharmacists. But I think probably the most, the idea where I'm most proud is when they have internalized the idea of paying it forward, and then when they do become doctors, like I remember this young man named Nashid, he became a doctor and he opened up a clinic in a small village in Egypt, and he put up a nice little sign that said, free checkup for those who can't pay. It's people like that. This is when you sit back and you say, well done, well done.
That's great. Now, Coptic Orphans depends a lot on donations and volunteers. Have you had to build an appreciation for donating and volunteering in Egypt?
Well, this is what's so interesting. For thousands of years, the church has instilled in the community the idea of when you give, you're not giving to an individual, you're giving to God Himself. And so the nice thing is here abroad, outside of Egypt, there's that strong sense of giving. You want to give to the poor. And the community here has been so generous. Just one, I'll give you two examples of generosity. I remember one gentleman called up and, he said, I'd like to give a donation of $100,000. Of course, I couldn't believe it. It happened, and it was true. And then one that was even more generous, I'll tell you that story, was we were in an outreach event, and hundreds of people, and passed around envelopes. And you know what we found in one envelope? A gold ring. Which means what? This woman didn't have cash to donate, but she took off something off of her body to give to the poor. I thought that was incredibly generous. So in that respect, thank God, it's going really well. On the other side, we're in Egypt, where 90% of our work really is dependent on volunteers. Again,
and those are Muslim and Christian volunteers, correct?
I'm sorry?
You serve both Muslim and Christian children, and your volunteers are both.
I'll tell you about where we're doing both Christian and Muslim, because this is an idea that we're needing to address. The Valuable Girl Project, this is focused purely on girls. And what's so unique about this project is that it brings Christian and Muslim girls together in a safe space where we address some of the problems that both have major problems. So, for example, external pressures such as early marriage, being pulled out of school for household help, etc., etc. But what's so unique about Valuable Girl is that more often than not, Christian and Muslim girls are raised and taught not to engage and interact with each other. And hence this project, the Valuable Girl Project, is unheard of in Egypt, because we go to areas where the two have never come together. Suddenly, not only is it a safe space, not only are they feeling empowered, but there's this respect, and not only respect, but true love for one another. This, again, is another one of those things I think I have to go back to most proud, because these girls are challenging societal pressures and showing the world that no, It doesn't have to be a disengagement or a distrust. We could actually love one another.
I'm going to stop there and let everyone find out more at CopticOrphans.org. And I thank you very much, Nermien Riad, founder and executive director of Coptic Orphans.
You're very welcome, Karen. My pleasure.